Hello, welcome back. Jessica here from Yoga Next Door, and I have a great uplifting little yoga break for you all this afternoon. It's going to be incorporating some back bends. Back bends simultaneously are also chest opening postures. Chest opening postures really target the heart chakra and can be very uplifting and energizing. So this is a great yoga break if you need a pick-me-up in the morning, in the afternoon, whatever time of day you can squeeze this little practice in. So we are going to start seated on our mats this afternoon, this morning, this evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. And we're going to ground down through our sit bones, finding a nice long spine here. I, at the beginning of my practice, usually put some blocks under my knees to make my knees feel a little more grounded, but you may or may not need that. So finding blocks if you need them, setting them aside if you don't. Then we're going to bring our hands to our knees. So palms facing up is a more receiving, energizing, uplifting position for the hands during breath work. Palms facing down is a little bit more grounded. So if you've got a lot on your mind and you really just need to settle in and focus in for practice, palms facing down. If you're needing the pick-me-up and to bring the energy in to elevate you for your practice at this moment in your day, palms facing up. So settling in, rooting in through the bottom half of the body, positioning the hands, finding the length and lift through the spine, opening through the chest, gently tucking the chin here and lifting the crown of the head towards the ceiling. And then I invite you to begin breathing in and out through your nose. Nice deep inhales and exhales, sending the breath all the way down into the belly. Feeling the belly and the back body rise and fall with each inhale and exhale. Just focusing in on these breaths, preparing for our little yoga break. And trying to maintain this deep, expansive breath throughout our practice today. Then I invite you to open your eyes, and we're going to start our asana or our postures by stretching the right leg out to the side, tucking the left foot inside the right thigh, inhaling the arms up through center, lifting them real high, maybe reaching and grabbing the air to find that length through the side body. And then we're going to twist and look out at the right leg. Exhale, forward fold, flexing the right toes back towards the torso, staying grounded through the left-hand side of the body, tucking your elbows in here to get a little bit more stretch through the back body, relaxing the forehead down towards the knee, and just breathing into this forward fold. And then we're going to inhale, rise up to a nice long spine, rotate the spine back forward, and we're going to ground the left hand on the floor beside you, and inhale the right arm up and over, keeping that right foot flexed, active all the way out through the right fingertips, staying lifted and open through the chest here, and stretching out the right side of the body, the right side of the ribs. And then we're going to come back up, grounding the right elbow to the right thigh, inhaling the left arm up and over, staying grounded through the left hip, opening the left-hand side of the low back. So we want to open the sacrum a little bit to prepare for our back bends in our little mini class today. And then we'll rise up through center, and we're going to switch the feet. This time, taking the left foot wide, tucking the right foot, inhaling the arms high, lifting and grabbing to find that extra length through the side body, then coming to stillness, twisting to look out over the left leg, flexing those toes back to the face, and then exhale, forward fold. Staying grounded through the right hip this time, melting the elbows down and in towards the floor, in towards the midline here, letting the forehead go, and just breathing into the stretch where you're feeling it. And then we'll rise back up through center. Exhale the right palm down beside us. Inhale the left arm up and over, stretching out the left hand side of the body this time, staying open through the chest, gaze to the ceiling. And then we'll exhale, come through center, grounding the left elbow to the top of the left thigh, inhaling the right arm up and over, staying grounded through the right hip. Breathing here, in and out through the nose, gaze to the ceiling. And then we'll rise back up to center. I'm going to scooch back on my mat, and I invite you to do so too. Coming into a cross-leg position, Sukhasana, easy pose. We're going to inhale the arms high, lift, exhale, forward fold, stretching the fingertips as far away from the sit bones as you can. And then we're going to roll forward, coming up on the knees, releasing the feet, keeping the knees wide, and then relax back into a wide-kneed child's pose. Sinking the sit bones down towards the heels, stretching the hands away. If those sit bones do not melt right down to the heels, no problem. Stay higher up with the back body in more of a puppy pose. And then we'll ground the forehead to the mat and melt the forearms into the floor. So child's pose. The hips are down lower towards the heels, but if that's hard with your hip flexibility, which it was for me for a real long time, just stretch the arms away, grounding the forehead, keeping the hips higher up in a puppy pose. So finding the stretch that's best for your body. And then wherever you are, we're going to walk the hands back in towards the torso, rising to table pose, and find some cat-cows to get the spine moving. Grounding the knees right under the hips, hands right under the shoulders. And we'll lift the tailbone on an inhale, relax the belly, open through the chest and the throat, gaze to the ceiling. Exhale, tucking the tailbone, arching through the spine, puffing up through the shoulder blades, tucking the chin, cat pose. Inhaling back to cow, trying to articulate each vertebra. And then exhale, tucking the tailbone, lifting the spine, and letting the crown drop. Let's do one more of each of those. Moving the spine all the way from tailbone to crown with each inhale and exhale. And then we'll meet back in a neutral spine. Widen the hands out to the edges of the mat. Externally rotate through the elbows and the shoulders to stay nice and broad and strong through the chest as you tuck the toes, engage the core, and lift into down dog. So in down dog, we're grounding through all the points of the hands. You can pedal the feet out, opening the backs of the legs and the hips and the sacrum here, the low back. And then we'll find some stillness in our down dog, really pushing the floor away, lifting the sit bones up, drawing the lowest rib to the top of the pelvis, engaging the abdominals to find more space through the low back, and then relax the heels down to the mat. Feeling your down dog radiating out from your core in all directions. Then we're going to ground down through the right toes. Ground down through the left toes. Inhale the right leg high and kick the right foot forward to the right hand. So we're in high lunge feet. Both feet are in their own lanes. Toes are pointing towards the end of the mat. You're up on the balls of the back foot, engaging through the core, finding a long, strong spine here. And then we're going to inhale, rise up to high lunge, sweeping the arms around behind the back body, interlacing the hands and bringing the knuckles into the low back or the lumbar spine. And we're going to find a nice little back bend here, hugging the elbows in, opening through the chest, pushing the hands into the low back, opening through the throat, gaze to the ceiling, and then we'll come back to a neutral spine, releasing the hands, lowering down to a low crescent lunge. Dropping that left knee to the mat. Back toes still tucked. Right hand can rest on the right knee. We're going to inhale the left arm up and over with a block, grounding it by the back foot, and then lifting into a little back bend here, side body opener for the right hand side of the body, and then we'll come back forward, bring the left arm back up and over, bring the right knee back, bring the knees back farther than the hips, grounding the hands at the top of the mat, finding a nice long spine, and lowering down to the mat with control. And then we're going to rise into Sphinx Pose, putting the elbows under the shoulders, stretching the legs away, grounding the tops of the feet into the mat, eking the rib cage forward a little bit to create more space in the low back, lifting through the chest, the throat, gaze to the ceiling, and then we'll exhale, come down to the mat, come through Child's Pose, keeping the knees in close together, letting the hips stay high or go low, stretching out the back, and then rising to down dog. Lifting the hips up, finding your alignment, finding a moving dog if you need to, or coming to stillness, breathing here, in and out through the nose, and then we'll inhale the left leg high, kicking the left foot forward, finding your high lunge feet, finding your strength and your length and your integrity through the spine here, lifting up to high lunge, sweeping the arms around behind the back, finding the hand hold, gently pressing the knuckles into the low back, opening through the chest, hugging the elbows in, gaze to the ceiling, and then we'll release the back bend, bring the arms high, lowering the right knee to low crescent lunge, finding a block, inhaling the right arm up and over, grounding it by the back heel, lifting through the spine, opening through the left hand side of the body. And then we'll rise back up, bring that right arm back up and over, releasing the left knee back to join the right, finding your setup for a half plank pose, and then lowering down to the floor with control, rising up to Sphinx Pose, finding that space and length in the low back, gaze to the ceiling, and then exhale, come down, inhale, come through Child's Pose, exhaling back to down dog. Finding your alignment here in down dog, finding your breath, grounding through the left toes, inhaling the right leg high, kicking the right foot forward, rising to high lunge. This time we're going to tuck the right arm behind the back, push the right arm into the low back, lifting and lengthening and opening through the left hand side of the body, coming back to a neutral spine, right arm joins the left, opening to warrior two. Lining those feet up on the balance beam, right knee in line with right toes, turning to look out over the right fingertips, and then bring your gaze back forward, hands behind the head, and we're going to twist to look out over the front leg. Exhale, forward fold, releasing the hands to the mat, pivoting on the back foot, lowering down to low crescent lunge. This time, we're gonna bring the right leg back to meet the left. And we're going to bring the left hand to the left-hand side of the low back. Inhale the right arm up, finding a half camel pose here. So using the palm of the left hand to support the low back. And then we'll rise back up to standing. Relax the sit bones down to the heels, interlacing the hands, stretching the palms away, finding hero pose. Lifting and hinging over to the right, stretching out the left-hand side of the low back, coming back through center, lift and hinge over to the left. And then we'll come back to center and relax down into child's pose. Grounding the forehead, stretching the hands away, and then rising back up into down dog. Finding your breath here, staying focused, grounding through the right toes this time, inhaling the left leg high, kicking the left foot forward, finding your high lunge, legs and feet, length and strength through the spine. Inhale, rise up, tucking the left arm behind the back, lifting and opening through the right hand side of the body, then coming back to a neutral spine, opening to warrior two, lining those feet up on the balance beam, making sure the left knee is in line with the left toes, looking out over the left fingertips, relaxing the shoulders down from the neck, and then turning to look out to the side of your mat, hands behind the head, twisting, exhaling over the left leg, grounding the hands to the mat, pivoting on the back foot, grounding the right knee, coming back with the left knee. This time bring the hand to the right hand side, low back, and we're going to push, lift through the spine, using that right hand for support and finding a half camel pose here. And then we'll come back to a neutral spine, sinking the sit bones down to the heels, toes tucked, finding hero pose, lifting and exhaling over to the left, coming through center, lifting and hinging to the right, stretching out the low back, coming back to center, and then exhaling down to child pose with the knees together, stretching the hands away, grounding the forehead to the floor, and breathing here. And then we're just going to walk the hands back towards the body, and we're going to rise up onto the knees and prepare for a full camel pose. So in camel pose, toes are tucked, knees are hips width apart, feet are right in line with the knees. We're going to be using the hands to support the low back, and we'll lift through the lumbar, thoracic, cervical spine, up through the neck. And the way I find camel pose most enjoyable is just to let the neck go and let the gaze fall behind you. So we're going to lift up through the spine, supporting the low back. And when you've reached your peak, you can reach your hands down to find the heels. So bring the hands to the low back. We're going to gently shift the hips forward, lift through the lumbar, thoracic, cervical spine, reaching the hands back, letting the head go, bring the gaze behind you, opening through the chest here. Breathing in and out through the nose. And then to release, we'll bring the hands to the low back, one at a time, rising up, sinking down to hero pose, Coming all the way to a seated position, extending the legs long on the mat, and then taking the spine in the opposite direction with a forward fold. So we're lining the toes up, trying to get the baby toe in line with the big toe, lifting the arms high, finding lots of length through the side body here, and then exhale, forward fold, letting the hands land where they will. And then maybe using the hands to pull you a little deeper into your forward fold, letting the neck muscles go, letting the crown hang heavy here, and breathing into your stretch. Nice, deep Ujjayi breath in and out through the nose. And then we're going to walk the hands back towards the torso and make our way all the way down onto our backs. And find one last back bend with bridge pose. Grounding the feet by the sit bones. Knees in line with the hips. Grounding the palms into the mat. Tucking the chin to align the neck. And then we're going to inhale, lift the hips up. Clasp the hands under the body, tuck one shoulder and then the other under the body, ground the palms, the fists into the mat, lifting the hips high, opening through the chest here, breathing into the stretch, keeping the legs energetically engaged, and the knees in line with the hips. And then we'll release the hands, and then one shoulder and the other, and slowly lower the spine back down to the mat, hips landing last. And then for a little cool down, we'll do some rolling bridges. So grounding the feet into the mat, inhaling the hands up and over the head, lifting the hips, and then exhale the arms and the spine back down to the mat simultaneously. Inhale, we rise, we fill up, and exhale, let go, and release, and ground back to the mat. Inhale, rise up one more time, and exhale, come back down, and release. Now I invite you to extend the legs long on the mat. Each foot in one corner of the mat, open through the chest, palms facing the ceiling. And take a couple final moments here to drop into Shavasana if you can. Corpse pose, where you just let the body and the mind completely relax and be empty and peaceful here. Or if you don't have time to take a Shavasana for a couple minutes, just return to your breath for a couple deep inhales and exhales. Thank yourself for taking some time to move your body in the middle of your busy day. I'm Jessica from Yoga Next Door. Check out yoganextdoor.wordpress.com to learn more about my other online classes and offerings. The light in me honors the light in each of you. Namaste.